Hey guys, welcome back for part 5 of the comeback. Tonight we're going to talk about offense. We've been reading 2 verses every week so far. I want to read those to you right now. The first one is this, Revelation chapter 2, verse 4 through 5. It says, "But I have this complaint against you. You do not love me or each other as you did at first. Look how far you have fallen. Turn back to me and do the works you did at first. If you don't repent, I will come and remove your lampstand from its place among the churches." The second verse we've been reading is Hosea 12:6. "So now come back to your God. Act with love and justice and always depend on him." Now maybe you're wondering, what do these verses have to do with offense? Well, I'm going to explain it to you, but I believe it says in a simple message this: when we take offense or when we give offense, we're not showing the love that God asks us to have. We're not living in love like he wants us to live. And so when we don't do that, I believe that the writers of Revelation, Hosea, are giving us warning that we've got to turn around. We've got to stop what we're doing and begin to live and love like God created and God asked us to. So let's just jump right in. Is that cool? Number one, we stop loving because of offense. We stop loving people who hurt us because, well, they offended me, so I'm not going to love them anymore. Or when we offend or hurt someone else, we stop loving them because we think, well, they don't love me anymore, so I'm not going to love them. But we don't realize that it's because we've offended them. And so when we do this thing, when we do this of not loving because of offense, we're not living like God asked us to live. We're not living like Jesus with skin on. We're living just as humans, almost neglecting and denying God. And so tonight I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about offense. You know what? If you're like me, we've all been offended, right? But here's the deal. When we say we're offended, what we're saying is, I have chosen to pick up offense against you. I have chosen. You see, you can do something towards me or say something towards me, and it's my choice to be offended or not. In fact, let me encourage you guys, if you haven't been watching on Sundays, Pastor Joe preached a fire message a couple weeks ago about forgiveness. And I encourage you to go back to the YouTube channel and watch that message and listen to what he had to say. They got some incredible words. I'm not trying to re-preach what he did, but I want you to understand that tonight we're talking about offense because so many times we get offended, right? And it's my choice to pick up the offense. It's not like you gave me an offense, so it's mine automatically. It's you may have done something. It's my choice to be offended or to let it go. Sometimes we do the offending. What I've learned is that when I offend somebody, or when I do choose to pick up an offense, most of the time the offense is not on purpose. Most of the time the offense is because of a lack of understanding, miscommunication, misunderstanding a text message, right? We all do that all the time. Well, they texted this. Well, they didn't mean what it sounds like, but it's a text message, so we don't understand the full context. If we're honest, there are times we also choose to not hold our words, and we just choose to say whatever we're thinking. We choose to just, here's what I really think about this situation. Here's what I really think about you. And we just let it go. We don't hold back. And man, that's not what God wants us to do. Pastor Joe makes a statement all the time, and I love it, and it's so true. And he says this, he says, hurt people hurt people. When I'm offended, usually I've picked up an offense from someone somewhere, and because I'm hurt from those offenses, I want you to hurt like I do. That's our human nature. But see, as a Christian, I'm supposed to put my human nature down and to live like Christ. You know, how much different would our world look like as a Christian would we look like if Jesus was offended by every person that hurt him? Man, he had stuff thrown at him so often, and yet he never once chose to pick up an offense. And yet every single time he forgave them. He forgave every person, and he kept moving forward in what God had planned for his life. And so, I know Jesus was perfect, but as a Christian, I'm supposed to do my best to look like Christ. I don't always do that. I'm just like you. I'm human. But my goal should be to look like Christ in everything I do and to act like Christ. We all fail and make mistakes all the time, right? But God gives us forgiveness. 1 John 1:9 says, when we ask for forgiveness, he is faithful and just and will forgive us every single time. Now, we've talked about, being offended and offending, but how do I come back from that? I'm glad you asked that question. Check this out. when I've been offended, I have to, number one, forgive. I have to forgive the person that hurt me. I have to forgive the person that gave off the offense. Whether I picked it up or not, I still have to forgive that person. Because if I don't, then I'm going to wind up picking up that offense and holding on to it, and it's going to become a grudge, and I'm going to be to hate that person and not love that person. So when someone throws an offense at you, the first thing you got to do is to forgive them. Forgive them. You have to forgive the person, and sometimes when I've been offended, I have to forgive myself for picking up the offense. Because a lot of times what I've learned about me is when someone says or does something and I pick up the offense, I feel just as guilty for picking up the offense as the person that says something that offended me. And so I have to forgive them, but I also have to forgive myself for picking up the offense. So the best way to forgive someone, what I found from my life personally, is to start praying for them. Whether I've picked up the offense or not, when someone does something that hurts, the best thing I can do is to begin to pray for them. Now it's not like God get them, God show them they're wrong, God tell them this. Man, what I've learned from me is I've got to go, God bless them. I don't know what they're facing, I don't know what they're going through, but God, I pray that you give them strength to face what they're going through. God, I pray that you would bless them, bless their families, bless their friends, bless their school, bless their whatever they're doing. God, and I pray blessings on them. Why? Because I want them to understand the mercy and love of God that He gives me. You know, how many times should God be offended at me, and yet He forgives me and gives me mercy and grace? I got to look just like God. Matthew 5, verse 43 through 47 says this. It says, "You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you'll be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For He gives His sunlight to both the evil and the good, and He sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you only love those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. Even people who don't serve God do that." So we have to pray that God will bless them. We have to forgive them. We have to forgive ourselves. Like Pastor Joe says, hurt people. We should pray that God would heal their hurt and heal my hurt so that I'm not hurting others. If I've offended someone else, then I'm going to ask God, first thing, to heal my hurts. God, heal their hurts, heal the things that have hurt me, the people that have hurt me, the things that I've held on to. God, would you heal those things so that I will stop hurting other people? Because if I'm not healed, I'm going to hurt. So God, heal me so that I can love and not hurt others. Ask for forgiveness. Go to the person, go to the people, ask for forgiveness. So many times we're prideful, well, I'm not asking for forgiveness, they deserve blah, blah, blah. Man, listen, none of us deserve a lot of things. But if you want to be healed and if you want to come back from offense, then go to somebody, go to the person and ask them to forgive you. You see, they may say, no, I'm not going to forgive you. But the deal is my responsibility is to ask for forgiveness and do what God tells me to do. It's between them and Jesus if they forgive me or not. And you have to forgive yourself for being offensive. Forgive yourself for being offensive. Begin to move forward. Begin to pray blessing on those that you've offended, those that have hurt, that God would show His love and mercy to them just as He's showing to you. And see, what I've learned is that most people will forgive and move on. Some people won't. Some people will not forgive us, and that's between them and Jesus. But what I know is Romans 12:18 says this: if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, my responsibility, as far as it deals with me, live at peace with everyone. When I've offended someone, all I can do is ask for forgiveness, not as a gimmick, not as a escape route because I got caught. If I'm asking for forgiveness, it's because I realize I've wronged you and I need to ask you to forgive so that we can rebuild that relationship. See, it's my responsibility and it's your responsibility to live at peace with everyone. We offend people, we're offended sometimes by people. When we choose to pick up the offense, we become offended. Choose to leave the offense there and forgive them. Choose to not be harsh and mean and offend others.